we're not going until Darren gets a computer logged in, but
Tammy Jones, Jerry Marcellus, Chris Hestel. Good morning.
hi, Scott.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
I took your seat.
Good morning, everyone.
No, I actually took his.
I'm still waiting to see if there's going to be some more join in with us, but right now we have Chris Hestel, Jerry Marcellus, and Tammy Jones on with us. So can everyone hear me? Is that
Yes, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Good morning, everybody. We're going to stop down to meet with Lyle Motlin to discuss the Freedom Rock. And Lyle.
We'll just go right here.
Okay, we've got some questions, and I know Darren's been working on this, so.
Why don't I give you our tentative schedule?
that
There
would
you
be
go. That would be a good start.
May answer many of your questions right now.
Okay.
So tentatively, we will,
Could I make a copy of that?
yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, and then we can,
Sure.
yeah,
You want to run the copy?
yeah. Then we can look at what you're talking about, what you're talking about.
We appreciate you being here, Lyle.
We do. I do great. Here's yours back while they're spitting it out, and then you can go ahead and.
All right. Anyway, the plan is that the rock has to be washed before it can be painted. So a week from tomorrow, which would be the 15th, the plan is at 4:30, I'll wash the rock.
Okay.
Following that, put the tint up over the top of it so it don't get dirty again.
Right. Now with power washing it, are you going to need access to the courthouse water?
No, we're
Okay.
using water.
Okay.
So
Okay. I
Yeah,
just wanted
because,
to make sure if you needed
yeah,
that,
yeah,
Dave
yeah.
would be here.
well, I surveyed it and it looks like it's a long ways for water, and I found out that I can bring water in real easily, so we should bring the water in.
Okay. Good.
And so I'd like to say that will take care of us on the 15th, 16th. We just answer questions as people go, what's that tent on the rock about? And then on the 17th, Bubba is supposed to get started painting. And so through 17th, and then through to the 25th, 26th, we should have the rock painted. The tent will stay up for a day or two after that. Sometime in the following week, there's a protective coating that we plan on putting on it. And that will be done at that time. And the tent will come down and the rock will be the rock.
Okay.
And then we'll start figuring out what we're gonna do about landscaping and so forth that way. Start
Okay.
another fundraiser.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks for coming in.
Because we were getting some questions about it, and
Have I answered
you have.
your one?
Yeah. And I had talked to you previously and you
Yeah.
told me it was going to be about county fairtime. I was here to paint and it kept getting closer and closer and I kept going, oh, what's going on? And then Dave started asking me about it again. And I thought, well, I'd have him get a hold of you. And, I think the biggest thing that we're concerned about is the landscaping and getting an idea of how extensive or not as extensive as it's going to be.
I
Around
hope, I'm not planning on making too big a thing out of it because, you know, the space that we've got out here and so forth.
Right.
Doing this in a 40-acre field would be a different thing. But
Well, yeah, and I know that you were talking about some concrete work and
yes.
how
We don't
much
want
that's
people
gonna
out walking
tear
in the
up,
grass. I
No,
want people to get close enough that they can see the rock real
Yeah.
well. And my thought is within the 1.5 to 2 foot of the rock will be some, and I don't know plants, but I'm got people that I can talk to.
Someone walk from the sidewalk over and then.
Well,
walk
yes,
around
that, and then this, and cement around that, but right around the rock, I wanna have a plant that won't grow over about an inch or two off the ground. In other words, kind of a ground vine,
Right.
so people won't step on it to go touch the rock.
Yeah.
I don't want people to touch confirmed rock. No, I mean, you know, and people tend not to wanna step on plant, you know, if we cement right up to it, like, oh, yeah, we'll walk right up.
Yeah, or set on it. Oh,
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Hey, Lynn, what's the name of the gentleman who's gonna paint it?
Ray Bubba Swanson.
Okay.
Hey Dee, this is Chris Estel.
Yeah.
And Lyle, hey, I just want to give a shout out to my brother Robert who donated the rock. I think that's amazing. And I think it's going to be a very nice representation for our county. And it's going to look awesome when it's all done. So I just wanted to say that. It was quite exciting to get it moved into that location a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I did that one day when we were in here at a meeting. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's a big rock. So I'm excited to watch the progress. So thank you, Lyle, for all you're doing for that as well.
And to that point, just, there will be, the plan is there will be a plaque that will have people such as him that donated the rock and things for us and so forth,
Okay.
listed on this.
Thank you for all your work on it.
You're quite welcome.
Yes, we appreciate it. It's going to be a nice addition to the courthouse, and we want it to look as nice as we can and with as little disruption as possible.
Yeah, I don't think there's not gonna be any great, the plan is not any great tear up type deal that have to be repaired. I mean, it'll be in the plan,
Yeah, okay.
okay?
All right. Thank you, Lyle.
Have a nice day.
Okay, let's go back to acknowledge minutes. And we have a minute from June 1st and June 2nd.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good morning, Scott.
Crews have been, the motor grader operator has been blading gravel dirt roads. We've got a crew working on a bridge replacement. It's on the Jefferson Henry County line. It's with tanker cars. Henry County purchased the tanker cars. Jefferson County's putting them in place. This morning, they've got to do some concrete pouring behind the sheet pile. It helps seal up the inlet ends of the tanker cars, and then haul away some of the debris from the old bridge and put in some riprap, rope concrete, shape things
How
up.
many cars are there too?
Two. So far, we've only done one or two on any of these tanker car projects, but in the future, there's a couple places that could probably use three. Let's see. So they've been doing brush cutting with the boom mower in District 2. Put a liner on Packwood Road and for a culvert liner on Packwood Road, and then a 24-inch pipe on 180th Street. Let's see, entrance repairs, they put in a new pipe in one entrance. And, did some entrance repairs on Packwood and a drive in Evington. Erosion control, riprap, did some erosion control on Packwood Highway north of 155th. Then did different sorts of equipment maintenance, like the motor graders need bits and things like that. Work on the blades, general maintenance. Then For mowing, they're doing the shoulders of paved roads and some of the gravels. And repairing with a total patcher, some potholes west of Pleasant Plain, and doing some rock hauling on Quince and Pine. Let's see, some sign repairs. And this week, Dinco is supposed to come in tomorrow or the next day and do some concrete patching on Libertyville Road.
Okay, that'd be from where they ended more towards town then,
I believe so.
because they were what, a mile or so outside of Libertyville where they stopped. And then there was a bunch that still needed to be done on towards Juniper and down around the curves and up the
Right.
hill back in towards town.
Right.
Okay,
So,
good.
and let's see.
About how long will they be out there? Do you have any idea yet?
No, I mean, depends on the weather.
Yeah, but they haven't got any working day total that they have to
No.
have kept track of.
No, but they don't usually take very long.
No, they don't mess around, but both lanes, it'd be one lane's open and the other one's closed in locations and so forth
That's correct.
through there. Most of it's gonna be done by what, stop sign? If they've gotta keep a lane closed overnight because of the patch late in the day, or are they gonna have it all back open again?
Well, I don't know whether they're gonna use some fast setting concrete or,
Well,
imagine it'll be
unless it
fast
was-
setting anyway.
Yeah, unless it was spec'd out, they'll probably just run some more calcium chloride into the mix so that it'll dry quicker, but, that's different than a M mix that dries real fast and you can have the road back open in 3 or 4 hours after you pour.
Right, and I don't know whether they're gonna have anything up at night, have it all down or not, so.
Right. And I wasn't sure if they were gonna use a pilot car or anything like that out there either, or if they just do location and,
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
okay, all right.
We'll be monitoring what they're doing
Mhm.
and I'll know in a couple of days.
Yeah, who are you gonna have as go out as a road inspector for it?
Really be out there, he was out helping to mark all of those. So,
Uh-huh,
I'll be out there sometimes.
okay.
But,
Just so long as we got the right documentation when we're all done.
Yeah.
Is what I'm looking for, and there is some signs inspection that has to go on, and I wasn't sure who we were gonna have take care of that now that we're without a technician.
Yeah, we could, see about, we have at least one person certified in concrete testing. So we'll see about him going out.
Okay.
So let's see, Jeff Fadden was out last week, but there were other staff working on the closeouts.
How's that going?
He reported this morning that the other personnel were busy last week updating the two bridge closeouts. He's received more information from Iowa Bridge and Culverts on the two completed bridges. Received finalized payroll information for the Peach Bridge, for instance. Gary Bartles with CBA was working on the materials audit forms 101, 169 bridge. And they're just collecting information from the contractor and putting together information we've sent on both of those completed bridges, and he said they're gaining ground on them. So, I sent copies of the crack sealing photos to Jeff Fadden to show what was done in response to the DOT's regional staff. They requested the photos to show that the work that they had talked about had been completed of the crack sealing. And we already had sent photos of the shoulder work, things like that.
Are we paying them a contract price or an hourly price?
Hourly price.
So do you have any
But
idea?
they're paying a contract price on the bundle bridges, which they're also doing.
At the rest of the work?
It's more or less whatever time they spend. They do work for us like that on multiple other things related to bridges, so they're pretty reasonable. And then,
Yeah, yeah, come on in.
Okay. Anything else?
yeah, so on the 257th Street Bundle Bridge, that's the one that Herbert Construction has, and they still thinking of starting this fall or late summer. And one of the things that was going on there was the ITC had huge power lines going through there, and then let's see, Access Energy Cooperative had smaller local power lines to serve the public along the road. So a few weeks back, ITC moved their big poles to be away from the bridge. And I don't know when it happened, but I was out there last week, and now Access Energy has moved their lines. So the only thing still left out there is, in the way, is one ITC pole, which Access Energy wouldn't be responsible to move, and it's not their pole. So I'm gonna get a hold, well, if Jeff doesn't do it, I'm gonna get a hold of ITC and see what they want to do about the pole. Because, you know, if it happens, they can say, well, we don't need anything, do anything you want. Well, then we might have to pay a extra, or like have a change order to do that. And I just assume that ITC came in and took care of their own poles. We wouldn't have to go through that effort. So I was discussing all that with Jeff in an email. And he'll be reviewing that today. So that's work on those projects.
You want to move on to the resolution? The step increase for secondary road? And forward.
Yeah, that's for Coleman. It would be going from, it'd be the 6 month going from hiring to step B. And so the base wage would go up 44 cents or something like that per hour. And he's been doing good work, so Billy and I are recommending that he get the next step up.
Okay.
So he's through his probation period then, and
Yes.
so I would make a motion that we give the step raise after 6 months probationary employment to name again, Brandon Coleman.
My only question is, why are we waiting until now to do it? This is effective May the 1st.
Oversight. I mean, usually between Brent and I would get it taken care of.
I just wondered, thanks.
It wasn't on purpose.
All right.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Discuss and consider engineer position. All right. We need to do this refund warrant for district court property tax settlement when you're here. Is that
No.
what?
Usually we only have to have two.
You don't have to be here for that one.
No.
Okay. Okay. I just thought if there was anything for while you were here. All right, now let's go ahead with the engineer position. Okay, so we had a second interview with the second applicant last week. Made an offer, we're in negotiation. So you've got the updated negotiation offer. I don't know if you had time to see it. But basically, he's coming from the private sector, so he wants 125,000. And he got a lot of information. Thank you to Melissa and the auditor's office for sending him the information regarding benefits. And here's where I think we can have some room for negotiation, perhaps. He asked for 6 weeks of vacation because he takes care of aging parents and stuff. And so my thought was that's actually appropriate. He probably comes from like a PTO world for paid time off instead of being used to vacation and sick leave. So sick leave would be appropriate use for that. Follow me?
Yeah, it's
So I'm wondering.
kind of like a family care time,
Yeah.
or family care leave.
That would be the place, possibly.
Is that something that we do with other employees? Do we?
Well, this is a contract, so
Right.
it's whatever we figure out. And it depends, honestly, how badly we want an engineer in this individual. So that's really what it comes down to.
Okay.
This one is quite well qualified, as I think this board will concur. They're shaking their heads yes. Has relevant experience. Yeah, so just need to know if you want me to counter with what he's asking. And he also asked, he knows he has to take a week off between when he would start sometime in July and September to do something with the parents. So he starts with having a week that he could take at least time for that.
Well,
I wouldn't want to be in a situation where we give him 6 weeks vacation and he takes 5 of it away and then finds another job. I would suppose in a contractor would be smart to say, we're going to let you do this, but you must wait at least this much.
I think that's reasonable. What would you recommend, 6 months, 4 months?
well, I was along those same lines with the vacation, but I was also thinking that we would have a 6-month probationary time period that I think we would need to go through. So we could start salary at 120 and then give another 5,000 at the end of the first 6 months, because 6 months after that, then we're going to have cost of living increases that may be proposed for the following fiscal year that'll go on top of it. And that would increase the salary twice within the first year of him being here.
And for those of you on the computer and in the room, it sounds like sticker shot, but having checked with some other county engineers, it's in the ballpark. There is a shortage. It's like a lot of other professions. The baby boomers are retiring, and there's not enough experienced ones coming out, and this one clearly has experience that's relevant.
So you're saying,
I'm not
He
sure we'll
wants-
go for it, so
you're
before we-
saying-
No, and that's what this is. That's what
That's what I
contract
need to
negotiations are about.
parameters.
But
say that he wants 125, you are comfortable with 120.
right, with an extra 5,000 given after 6 months of work, 6 months of satisfactory.
And when we posted it within the range of 100 to 130,000. Having a talk with him, I think he's gonna want the 125. I can try that, but I want to know before we leave this room what the parameters are.
I would be comfortable doing the week's vacation, a probationary period of at least 6 months. I'm kind of uncomfortable with the 125,000.
I got the feeling that's non-negotiable.
It's not negotiable?
I got the feeling it was, because remember, we started out at a much lower one,
Right.
and that was clearly not enough.
Yeah. I would, you
I
know,
can try, but, do you want me to try Darren's plan?
what would be wrong with saying, we'll start you at 115 and 6 months we'll go to 120?
I don't think he'll take it.
And then a year go to 125.
Correct.
I thought about that as well, but there again, we're gonna see probably a proposed cost of living increase next July, just like we're getting this year with the employees, and he would be included in that. And so.
No, Sean's just shaking his head because this is a contract. So we got to remember that this is a contract position.
Well, hasn't it been typical that we give this contract employee?
Well, that's the beauty of the contract, is we could write it in, we could 3-year contract at whatever the rate you guys decide. It could be subject to cost of living increases, it could not. But the beauty of the contract is you guys can decide all of that,
Okay.
or negotiate all of that.
And I guess process-wise, I mean, once we figure out, I'll get back to him. I told him I'd get back to him after the meeting.
I would suggest taking a 5-minute recess where you go call him. That would, huh?
Or what?
To see if he'll take that.
Which one?
I'm still stuck on 115.
Yeah, and I don't think he'll bite on that at all.
It just would be nice to know today before we leave this room if he wants the job.
Yeah.
Okay, give me the parameters. For how long? 6 months and then
Yeah.
up to what?
If we start at 115, we go to 120.
After 6 months.
Yes.
And I'm not sure he'll be able to answer in 5 minutes because, he is working, so.
Sure.
And then what about the PTO or the vacation? 1 week on the books and then wait till
After the probationary period.
for the rest?
We have to be a little flexible because there's always a chance that there's something that comes up that's important that he might need time off.
Well, especially with the,
Yeah. We have to be a little flexible.
what I honestly don't think he's gonna accept it. I can try that first. I don't wanna have to do this on him right now. I can call him after the meeting.
So that means we can't make a decision.
We
today.
can't make a decision.
No.
Until- That's how it's gonna be. It's gonna.
Yeah, all
that's
we're
why
doing right now is looking at a counter proposal, and then once we hear back from him, then we can formulate what's going on. But I would really feel uncomfortable with shooting him back something so low that he's gonna automatically say no and then just end it right there. I don't wanna have that happen, and that's why I suggested the 120.
I wanted the 130. I got him down to 125.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that till right now.
Yeah, that's something we didn't know until now, so that may change things even farther. And I think going to 115 probably would be too low.
Want to try the 120 to 1 and then go up to 125?
That's more where my feeling is after 6 months going to 125, and then put in the finer print in the contract, the idea of either cost of living increases or no cost of living increases based off of it, and then work towards a 3-year contract as an initial rather than a 5-year.
Yeah, and
something
I
like
asked
that.
him because in that information that I received and sent, early on when we started this process from the County Engineers Association. They had a whole packet on recruiting a county engineer that had some sample contracts.
Mhm.
And so one of the county engineers I was working with, I was going to send him a couple because I thought he might as well come up with the one he likes. We'll have Chauncey look at it. Because really it's going to have whatever content we agree to.
Right.
And then we'll work on the actual wordsmithing of the contract. But what we need is the important numbers, which we're talking about now.
Right, and then you had said that he had mentioned he needs a week off
Before September.
before September. And did he give any indication of what start date he was wanting then?
I think it was earlier in July. We didn't exactly talk exact start dates when we had discussed last week, sometime in July, but I think it would be the earlier. Well, it depends how long we
Right,
negotiate.
because he had mentioned that he did have some vacation where he's currently employed. And he
I'm
wanted
not
to
sure he
use
was going
that.
to take that, and that could be part of the reason he needs that week.
Okay.
I think we'll be able to come up with a start date, but the longer we negotiate, the longer out the start date's going to be.
Exactly, but you know, if that negotiation ends this afternoon, later, and we do have some work, we're going to have a special meeting in order to finalize what's going to go on with the contract. And then he gives them, he said he was going to have to give them 30-day notice, or was
3
it
weeks, I think.
3 weeks notice? And that'll throw it into July. And then you said he needed that week off before September, so he would be here in August, so that week would have to be available to him in at that time when he starts in the door. And then the remainder of the 6 weeks could be put on at the same time as the pay raise of 5,000 to get him to 125,000. He could get the remainder of 5 weeks at that point. Would you feel comfortable with something like that?
In a perfect world, I'd like to see him start by the 6th of July. 6 months after that, be right after the first of the year.
And I don't think that gives him the 3 weeks that he needs.
Today is June the 7th. He would have 3 weeks done and in by the 25th of June.
Well, keep in
So
mind,
that's actually giving him another.
That's
week.
him putting in a letter today saying, I'm going to be leaving at that time. If he doesn't get his letter in.
he's not going to do that till we have a signed contract, and it's
Right.
going to take a few days.
And that'll be that'll be this entire week. So the earliest that he would probably put it in is on the 14th, which puts 3 weeks into, yeah, he'd still be looking at July 6th. After the 4th of July could possibly be his first date. You know, sometime between the 6th and the 13th, I would, or 12th,
Yeah.
6th and 12th.
I have one more question.
Mhm.
And again, I haven't asked this question because we talked last week, the engineer and I. I think he probably comes from a world that has paid time off instead of sick time and vacation. So part of me is thinking that's part of the reason he's thinking all the vacation, because he needed to take some off to take care of family member.
Right.
So I'll get that clarified.
He won't have sick leave accruing until he actually starts.
Well, my
No,
point
we
is,
won't be giving him
may
any
not
sick
need that,
leave.
and that may be something we can put in the contract. Because again, this is contract position, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's not gonna necessarily be the same.
D, I think that's a pretty healthy salary. 6 weeks paid time off for somebody that's starting is very good.
And it is somebody with a significant experience, they're not
So
right out of
I
school.
agree with that, but I think we also have to look at how we also treat our other employees in the county. I still think, you know, maybe, I don't know.
I think we may not get an engineer, that's the other bridge we'll cross.
Well, see, and that's the whole point here is in the time that we've had the job listing open, we've only had 2 applicants for it. And there hasn't been any for the last several weeks that have even thought about applying because the job is open until filled. And that's the way everything was published. And now that initial published date is becoming farther and farther back, which means that the ad is getting buried deeper and deeper in with everything else going
Can
on.
we take it off and repost it? But I don't think we're gonna get any more applicants because Jasper County, who clearly is larger and closer to Des Moines than we are, has been looking a month longer than we have, and they have not even hired, and last time I checked, hadn't had.
Yeah,
applicants.
I think Jasper County is too close to Des Moines, maybe it's gonna be better off down here.
And then I do know there's a couple counties way in southwest Iowa that haven't had any up. They've had vacancies over a year.
Yeah, and I think if we've got someone that's interested, we at least should make a
Oh, I agree
good
with that.
faith effort
I
back.
agree with that. I think we have to know if he's gonna take it for that wage.
Right.
We have to know, I guess, 6 weeks off plus paid time off?
I don't know, that's what I'll clarify.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so we're just.
Because in my book, we didn't go to that level because I think he comes from a world where it's lumped together, which the private sector typically does. See, the government's about the only place anymore that does sick time and vacation.
I know that.
So I think that he's thinking, okay, I can take the time off to take the family member to an appointment and do that within the 6 weeks. So I would say that's total, where it's a combination. Maybe this is the way I talked to him about it, whether it's a combination of vacation or sick, the total is that. And again, as Chauncey mentioned, this is something we could put in the contract.
Sure. I feel you need to visit with him again and actually see what he would be happy with and then come back to us.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
started out with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so process-wise, if he doesn't go for, and I'm gonna repeat it just to make sure I'm on the right page. 120 to start, and then 6 months, 125. A 3-year contract. The 6 weeks, whether it's paid time or sick, that we'll have to figure out. Start date will depend on that. He was willing to start, as soon as, but
Yeah,
Some of this.
start date
So-
no later than the 2nd week of July.
if he says no, it's gonna be a good 48 hours so we can talk again, because we have to do the 24-hour notice unless I call him like when we're done with the meeting and he's able to talk. I'm sure like around noon he might be able to. And then I can get that, and Abby, you're an expert, I know this. If we get it out by 1 o'clock, can we meet tomorrow afternoon?
As long as your meeting, as long as your meeting notice is posted out on this one, 24 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so theoretically, we can meet tomorrow afternoon if we needed to.
Okay.
I just
All right.
want to know our timelines,
Yeah.
make sure we're all on the same page.
We could just adjourn the meeting until tomorrow. And that would be.
Okay,
We could adjourn the meeting till tomorrow. This current meeting?
What's being proposed?
did I talk to him, and then
Come back tomorrow.
Right.
can we finish the rest of the agenda for now?
Yeah, the issue is notice. So if somebody is trying to pay attention to this matter, the notice, if this conversation continues tomorrow, there wouldn't be published notice of that, right? So,
Except out here.
right, well, we can do that as long as we get 24 hours. So that would be the proper way to do it.
But the other way is,
In the paper.
It wouldn't be in the paper, but it would be published in a public forum.
okay. All right. Stay tuned. Watch the board out here if we're going to have a meeting. All right, thank you. Number 3, discuss and consider a refund warrant for district court property tax settlement. And that was,
Let's see, the motion would be, it was moved by the board, the supervisors of Jefferson County, to issue a refund warrant to Alfred Davis and Mary Barton for district court property settlement on parcel 0613100018 in the amount of $394. I would make that motion.
little motion and second, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, let's do the budget amendment public hearing. Does Shannon want to come in for that, Abby? I'm gonna have her come because she knows the timelines and the amounts.
Oh,
Can you call her or text her, and unless one of you've got it? I don't.
That's this motion in your packet that says
Okay, perfect. I'll look at that. Let's see, Susie made her signature on this one.
so what she's got laid out
Oh,
for us
right there.
here is
Motion.
in a motion, but it's a public hearing on fiscal year 2021 budget amendment for June 21st, 2021 at 9:30 a.m.
Okay. So do we have a motion for that?
Yeah, I would make that motion.
Okay, motion second, discussion. All in favor? Okay, ARP process. Any of you have any updates on that?
I have none at this point. I'm still concerned that we don't have all the time. This, we need to do it sooner than later. And I think we need to get the process going so that we can get the funds applied for. Now, which direction that's going to be, I'm not entirely knowledgeable about, but I still believe that's something that should be done by the auditor's office and handled that way.
Yeah,
Versus someone either from the board or from the treasurer's office being the agent with that. Because again, like I've said in the past, the auditor's office is the one that accounts for where the money is spent and how it's taken care of that way.
right.
And the treasurer is just there to accept the dollars in for the county.
Yeah, I invited the auditor to come today and he took it off the agenda, so
town today.
he's out of town.
He's over in Western Iowa. The SAM registration and the DUNS number that process has been started within the next day or two. It should be applied for, and then likely within a month, that those things will be here and available to use.
Okay.
What about the ID.me?
So that-
We won't get the money until that ID.me is applied for.
And that stands for IDME. What does that?
There's 3 steps to apply to receive the fund. One is getting the DUNS number, which for months ISAC has told us to try to get that, in the SAM number. So it sounds like that's in process. Yeah, those should not take long to get. Then the third part is the ID.me, which requires the person applying for funds to use their social security, passport number, and facial recognition. And that's seems to be the barrier.
So you need a passport.
Well, that or some other thing. It's that information that I brought a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to that ISAC website, it's all on
Yeah,
there.
I'm concerned it's the third time we've talked about this.
I know.
And
Um,
I don't want the residents of this county to lose $3.5 million because of this.
I agree. And so, yeah, no, I think we'll have to see what our options are and go from there. But that's why we need to have another public discussion, because it would be helpful to have it applied for. I know Washington County, once they applied, had their funds in within a week.
Mhm.
And you told us last week, they already have their funds.
They have their
in the
funds.
bank.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And one of the webinars I was on, it says it's okay, you know, not to spend it. And you get half the funds this year
Sure.
and the other half
Yeah,
next
sure.
year. So it's
Right.
not like the whole amount's gonna come.
Is that based off of the federal fiscal year? October, or is that July?
I don't know.
1st?
It's whenever you apply for them, they come within like 4 to 5 days. is
And
what it
then,
has.
and then the second payment would be
Sometimes
1
when-
year from that date that we
From
initially
what
get it?
I've read, it's 1 year from when you had received the first
Okay,
payment.
so it's
Yeah.
not based off of any fiscal year time
Not
periods.
that
I have not
read.
seen fiscal year anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do we do? Because this has gone on too long. We need to have this done.
I guess we talk to county attorney's office and see what we can do.
Well, what are you wanting to do? There are some provisions in the code, where you require that the county auditor make a report to the board, under oath as to the process here. So, if there are concerns over where we are in the application process, you can, essentially notice the auditor that you would like to have a sworn report made to you. And that report has to be delivered within 20 days. So that's under, Iowa Code section 331.323 sub 2 sub B. So that would be an option of the board to have, is essentially order a report from the auditor as to the status of these funds.
And that takes 20 days.
No, the code provides that the report needs to be delivered within 20 days. So it doesn't take 20 days. But it could take 20 days.
Yeah, it could be 3 more weeks.
Mhm.
What other options do we have, Chauncey,
Well, options for what?
to get this money?
It doesn't need to be the auditor that is the point of contact. So a member of the board or another individual office holder with a DUNS number would be able to step into that role. So those are essentially the options, is to have this in the purview of the auditor's office, or to select or to designate another individual to be that phone contact.
The DUNS number and SAM is being specifically registered to the county rather than some of the other DUNS numbers that we have that are specific to.
Departments. Yes, yes, and that was the question I was going to ask. And so that would be a number that any of the elected officials then could use, or is that just specifically then assigned to an office?
It's specific to the funds.
It's for the county as a whole, is my understanding.
Okay,
And it's specific for the funds, but somebody else can actually apply for the funds, but they will go specifically to this DUNS and this SAM.
Abby, about how long will that process take? Do you have any ideas?
The longest that number, also my understanding, I'm not the one doing it, but
Sure.
it could take up to a month. It could be much less than that, a week.
Mhm.
Hey, D,
You know when that was applied for?
I believe today is the day, or tomorrow.
Okay.
That will be applied.
Okay.
hey, D.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Brett.
Hey, Brett.
How are you guys?
Good.
I missed a little bit of part of the conversation on the DUNS number, but who's applying for the DUNS number? Is it the Board of Supervisors?
No, the auditor's office, because
So they didn't have a DUNS number to begin with?
they're doing one specific for these funds, which is a good way to do that, to keep these funds more trackable easily.
Okay. And that's not a fun process. I went through that emergency management, and it takes quite a while to get that number. I don't know why that is, but anyway, okay, that's all I was asking. 'Cause I know the Board of Supervisors had a DUNS number, do have a DUNS number right now.
Yes, all departments have
Yeah,
DUNS numbers based
Okay.
off of their department's needs.
Yep.
It's the same with the SAM
I think
number.
it's required anytime you do federal funds.
Mhm.
Right.
And other entities that receive federal funds outside of like Jefferson County will have their own DUNS numbers, but this is going to be specific for the ARP funds, which is good.
Okay.
That way it's,
Right,
because
and
it needs to be trackable.
that's why it's being applied for in the name of Jefferson County rather than the name of emergency management or the treasurer or secondary roads or
Or sheriff's
you know,
department.
sheriff's department, which each one of those departments should have their own DUNS and SAM numbers.
Yep. Okay, that's all. I just missed part of the conversation. Just a
Yep.
question.
Nope, thanks, Brad. Good question.
So what has Washington County done
So far,
to get the number?
somebody in
They've
the
already got the
auditor's
number.
office applied for it,
Somebody in the auditor's office?
applied for it.
How long ago?
I don't know, I talked to one of their supervisors 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Well, I
and he
just-
said it's been applied and they had
It
gotten it.
just depends on what you're talking about here, though, too. Somebody in the auditor's office already had an auditor's DUNS number and SAM's number and went ahead and initiated all of it in order to get the process going as quickly as it did. We're not doing that. We're applying for a new DUNS number. for the
Darren, I
entire-
understand that.
I
I'm
do,
just
but
wondering why. What is slowing the process up for this county? You know? I just,
I can tell you, I started going to these webinars when they first started happening in March, and right then, all the counties were told to start applying for these numbers because they'd be needed. Some
in
were,
March.
yeah, in March,
Because
some
it
were
was March
more
11th that they-
earlier to apply adopters and some were later adopters.
Sure.
So, that's all I know. Okay, sounds like those two are being applied for. We do need to come up with a plan for who's gonna apply for that. So if any of you have options for that, I'm just gonna keep this as a running item on the agenda so we can update information.
good job.
Before we start, actually, we're not gonna really start having serious meetings on spending it till we actually get the money, because we don't wanna raise any expectations.
Right.
Okay, that said, make committee reports.
I was on the safety committee call this last week. Several things were discussed, but one of the more important comments that were made was by the gal from Iowa Workman's Comp, and letting us know that we're currently sitting at 74 for our mod number, which is extremely good.
Hasn't always been that way.
But it is going to go up because of some claims that we've had in the last year. And that is probably going to result in an increase in the amount that we have to pay our premium. And that premium increase may be as much as $15,000 coming up. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that. Chris, is there anything specific to the meeting other than that as an important point you'd like to talk about?
No, but thanks, Darren. I think that the safety committee is doing a great job. And we know as a committee that we can't mitigate everything, but if there is a claim or unfortunately an accident or an incident of some sort, at least looking back, the safety committee has done everything we need to do to move forward or to be reflective of the training that we've all received as employees. So I appreciate the support of everyone on the committee and the support of the supervisors. I think in the private sector, people just kind of assume that there's a safety process in place, which there is, and the county's a little bit different. So I think we're doing a great job. So thank you.
And I thank everybody involved on that, because it hasn't always been that way. We've worked really hard to resurrect the safety committee a couple times, and it's really going strong now, and that's really helpful, and thank you. Any other committee reports? Okay. Public comments? Let's see if there's any. I don't see any.
No, I
Okay.
don't see any.
Okay, allowed claims.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion to allow claims, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Nuisance update?
I have a Rust Board meeting coming up this Wednesday at 12:30 over in Mount Pleasant. So I'll get some more updates on what's going on. There is one particular property that was sent out in a notice to us that it's going to start going through the court process. They've gotten to the point that they are going to take the property owner to court over nuisance, and this is a newer one from the list of all of the ones that we had previously. We'll be working towards that. Pat's been working on that pretty diligently, and I think Bruce has worked with him.
And we appreciate all your work on nuisance, Pat,
Yes.
through the years. Okay, stay tuned. We'll see if we have a meeting tomorrow.
I would move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, Andy. I am